name is Lawson Stankiewicz, and today I'm going to be going over the finished product of the Experiential Field Project. And the company that I selected to do was Panam Coffee and Tea. So, an executive summary: Panam Coffee and Tea is a distribution company that ships product from various companies that indulge in coffee, tea, and sweet treats throughout the United States. The biggest company they ship product for is Cafe Richard, and they are the one and only distributor for Cafe Richard. However, they are also shipping for smaller local companies such as Two Leaves and a Bud. Panam is a small business that is family owned and has grown to become very successful due to selling high quality products to premium restaurants and high paying customers. So, getting into it, the customer empathy map. Some thinks and feels. Wants premium European coffee differentiation, worried about shipping delays from suppliers, wants consistent product quality, and needs customer loyalty. Some C's, wholesale competition within the U.S. That's a very big one, as there are many different people that are shipping coffee. Increasing specialty coffee demand, customers interested in premium products, which there are a lot out there. Price volatility in the coffee markets. Some here's customer demand for higher quality coffee, recommendations from Cafe Richard networks, and price comparisons from other distributors. This is a big one, making sure that you are selling at a fair price. Some gains, unique product line, reliable fulfillment, and better profit margins because the product is more premium. Pains, some customs delays. That's a big one. We'll get into that later in the presentation. Long overseas wait times, price fluctuations, new tariffs, and inventory shortages. And some says and do's. I need quality shipping to ensure product quality. Customers appreciate higher quality beans, and they notice the quality change. Shipping reliability matters more than price. Orders wholesale shipments monthly. Does frequent machine pulse checks, ensuring all the equipment is in check. Talks to suppliers frequently. This is also another big one. And maintains good relationships with customers. So moving on, getting into the interview questions. My opening was just kind of, introducing myself, explaining the project, asking for permission to take notes, and, getting the contact information of who I'm speaking with. Now, who I spoke with was the owner and founder, and the company, he had been working for the company, started back in 2019. And how many people are employed at the company? So there's around 10. There's about 5 in the office. There's a few technicians that work on the machines, as well as a few delivery individuals who deliver the product locally. What are the main business functions? Receiving and packaging orders, customer service, finding new customers, and dealing with day-to-day office activities, as well as ensuring customer equipment is calibrated. Now going into just some random standard questions. How does the ordering process work from France, as Cafe Richard is based there? They make a bulk order about every month directly with the company through their ordering portal, and if they need to, they can talk to somebody at the company that's higher up that deals with product and shipping. What operational areas does the business strive in? They're fast at getting product out the door, as well as having very good customer service and quality control. Now, that is very important. Are all of the products you sell sourced from France? They actually have other products that they sell from local smaller companies. As I stated earlier, one of those was Two Leaves and a Bud. Tell me about your operations and how a typical workday looks. Open the office, work on getting invoices out, packaging orders, responding to clients, and searching for new customers. All just things to kind of grow the business and make it more efficient. Now, getting into the logistical questions. How do you go about demand forecasting? They take out a consistent inventory, and depending on what it is and how much goes out the door, they see how much they need to reorder, and that same amount will, with slightly more, may or may not be reordered, depending on what the product is. They order about a month out because customs does take a while, and normally they try and go through a majority of their product before they start ordering, and they have it timed out pretty well. Now, what are the risks with international shipping? The biggest risk that he explained to me was dealing with customs, especially selling coffee. It has to be checked and have certain labels to ensure it can come to the States. Talking about shortage of product, it's really only common if a product is selling faster than expected. When products arrive late, he explained to me that there is not much that they can do as the product is coming from overseas, which does kind of stink, but it's just part of it. Shipping internationally. Now, how do you go about tracking inventory? They're in a smaller warehouse, so they're able to count it themselves, and it only takes about 3 or 4 hours, and everything is categorized nicely. Now, getting the customer service questions. their primary customers. Their primary customers are actually high-end restaurants. They buy the majority of the product as they're buying bulk. So like, your higher end coffee shops, premium restaurants, stuff like that. Is it common to find customer complaints? It's really rare from what he explained to me. The only thing that they tend to see is if, machines are not calibrated correctly, which can be tricky. He said because out-of-state customers, it's hard to be there and see the machine and really work on it yourself. How are wholesale relationships maintained? Staying in contact regularly, knowing the owners by name of these restaurants, getting product there on time, as well as being friendly to them, of course. Pretty simple when it comes to customer service and relationships. Now, the lean operations, when is the most common time to see delays occur within the business? When products get to customs. He said that is by far the slowest point in the process. But after that, it comes pretty quick to the warehouse. How do employees communicate operational issues with you? They talk directly with him by phone or text. And products getting out the door within 12 hours, if not sooner. Now, is everything in your inventory organized together to make packaging easy? So yes, that kind of goes back into what I was saying a second ago. He says that everything in his warehouse, and from what I saw, everything in the warehouse has its own section. The teas, the sweet treats, and the coffee, smaller coffee boxes and bulk coffee boxes. They kind of all have their own place. So moving on from the questions, we're going to look at the current state supply chain map. So there's a lot going on here, but starting out, you have the second tier suppliers, the coffee bean growers, the tea leaf growers, the cookie and treat creators, all the cleaning products for the machines and the paper filters and packaging of those. They go to the first tier suppliers, the roasters, the tea leaf packagers, the treat distributors, and, just all the distributors pretty much, which then make it to our warehouse, which is in Frisco, or their warehouse, I should say. Then it goes to the first tier customers, neighboring businesses that are next to us, restaurants and hotels, the big ones, wholesale clients. And then after that, you get to the second tier customers, Chamber of Commerce events, product tastings, and gift receivers. So this is the value stream map. So essentially, we start with obviously production control. Monthly orders go straight to the supplier, about 3,000 units per order. There's the receiving units, the inventory count, the customer places the orders, the packaging of the products, and then out for delivery. And then obviously directly to the consumer or the customer. Now, total CT currently is about 7.75 hours or 465 minutes, as you can see here. That gives a PCE of about 15.5%. Now, moving into the current state process flow diagram, there's a lot going on in this one too. However, it does make a lot of sense. Selection of the plantations where they're picking the beans from. Cafe Richard is picking the beans, and then you're selecting the specific beans you like. Roasting of the beans, waiting for them to finish, packaging them, loading product into transport, shipping of the product overseas via plane or boat, product getting to the customs line. And then it finally passes through, and then the beans are loaded onto trucks, and then en route to the warehouse, beans delivered to warehouse, and product listed online for sale and ready to purchase. That'll be exactly on their website, final hand when the customers are able to buy them. Now, the future value stream map. This is something that I put together. As you can see, there's some things taken out, and the PCE has gone up more than double from the other one. Now, the biggest takeaway you'll see is the inventory count for the value stream map. It is gone. Essentially, it's wasted time for the actual value stream map. So I took it out to make it a little bit more, a little faster paced, if you will, and be more efficient. Now, also you'll notice the monthly orders I said should be cut down, smaller, more frequent shipments, about 1,000 units, maybe every 2 weeks, just to give it a little bit more of an efficient pace. Now, this is also the future state process flow diagram. I've changed a lot of stuff in here to cut it down as well to make it more efficient. Obviously, you have to select the beans, and you have to, pick the plantations that they come from, and you still have to roast them and package the product, and then you ship it. The whole customs aspect, we all know that it's going to have to go through customs, but there shouldn't be two steps for getting there and passing through. And then loading the beans onto the trucks and then shipping off. I mean, that was kind of in one piece as well. Didn't need to be two pieces in the flow diagram. And then obviously the beans get delivered to the warehouse, and once they're there, they're listed online and ready to purchase. So this is kind of just a more condensed diagram rather than this one, just making the whole thing a little bit more efficient and how to improve the company. So looking at some of the key metrics, obviously we have lead time, value-added time, which I was talking about earlier, value-added and wasted time, process cycle efficiency, inventory levels, which is this is PCE, order frequency, and then any bottlenecking. Current state, as you can see, this was the before I had made some changes to possibly make it a little bit more efficient. The bottlenecks, it's always going to be shipping and customs, as I've stated a couple times now. And you can see here the future state, it's cut down a lot. Lead times are cut down, value added time. There's way more value added time after I had cut down on this value stream map. And then obviously, the process cycle efficiency has gone up over double, just making everything run more smoothly and faster. Lower bulk in the inventory levels, order frequency bi-weekly. The lead time process redesign was a major improvement. Value added time, less wasted time. So there's more time to focus on growing the business rather than having any possible bottlenecks down the line. As I stated, more than 2 times more efficient. Inventory levels reduces possible overstock. Now this is a big one because when you buy a lot of units, it's kind of hard to, it's a bigger risk because you have more money in inventory, whether you think it's going to move or not. If you're buying in lower bulk and ordering more frequently, yes, it is a little bit more work. However, you're probably going to save a lot more money in the long run. So it's just going to reduce that overstock. And order frequency, it improves the response. And obviously the bottlenecking is shipping and customs. It's obviously still a big risk area. Now the spaghetti diagram. This one is kind of looks like a bowl of spaghetti, but obviously the overseas product, they have to get shipped. And then, the storage is the overseas products, they have storage, but also the product goes to the Panam warehouse and that's in the storage. And then you have stocking it gets stocked on our shelves in our storage warehouse, said by the owner. And then obviously once it's in that storage, you do have to do the inventory count on it. And then once it's stocked, you've got to package it for any orders that come out. You do your inventory count, and that gives you the amount of available items to order on their website. And then obviously once you have the packaging and the number of items available to order is whenever the shipping and orders of the product will be handled and go out. So let's look at the fishbone diagram. The supplier/sourcing, far shipping distances, single supplier, inconsistent lead times. It could be an issue. The workflow, there's batch ordering, long customs delays, large wait time in between steps, facing shopping movements with supply chain. This is a big one because there are possible bottlenecks, and that kind of goes along with the long custom delays. Inventory management, there's inconsistent inventory checks. That can be an issue, especially when it comes to your demand forecasting. There's large over and understock products. Some things move better in different seasons, which is important to note. And then there's no recurring reorder system. Like I said, it was stated to me that it's about every month. However, it could be sooner or longer depending on, I guess, how the inventory looks. Now, the transportation and logistics, obviously there's the overseas delays, transit time delays. And then this is another one, the risk of damage/lost product. This is an important one to note. Because you never know what can happen, especially coming overseas. And then there's customs clearance issues. As I stated earlier, you need those stickers and tabs on the product so it can actually pass through properly. Communication, there's a communication gap with the foreign supplier sometimes if there is any issues with the ordering portal. Slow response times, different time zones, limited coordination across operations. That's another one. External factors, there's tariffs, weather delays, global supply chain disruptions, and demand changes. So the pick chart. So the implements, starting here, doing two for each, improve communication with suppliers, do inventory regularly, and use a digital spreadsheet to track. That just makes things more efficient and makes your company run a lot smoother. Challenge, long-term challenges, implementing a demand forecasting system to allow for more frequent and smaller shipments. It is difficult because they are getting product from overseas. And then partnering with a fast and more reliable logistic provider. Now, the thing is it's difficult for Panam to do this because they work directly with Cafe Richard and they are their sole supplier. So that one might be a little bit difficult. Possible like quick wins, standardized packaging process while tracking fulfillment times, label and organize the warehouse for ease of finding products. I think they have started to implement this. And then the ignore. Expanding product variety too fast. This is a big one. There's already a lot of products that they sell, and if you get too many, it may be too much to handle. And then increasing bulk shipment sizes. And that is actually the end of the presentation. I hope you enjoyed. This was Panam Coffee and Tea, my experiential field project done by Lawson Stankiewicz. Thank you so much.